want you to take out your phone right now, open that flawlessly designed, shiny banking app, log in instantly with your fingerprint or facial recognition, and go straight to your account statement for the last month. Scroll down. Look closely at those hundreds of lines of transactions scrolling quickly across your screen. Take a very close look at that long list you try to justify by saying, "These are all my choices. I made these decisions. This is my life." Because right there, hiding in plain sight, is a massive, blood-curdling, terrifying lie. Right at the heart of those transactions you think you bought or claim as yours, there is an invisible, giant tick feeding quietly and insidiously every single month. An army of digital vampires gnawing away at your soul, and more importantly, your future. Pay attention to those tiny numbers withdrawn from your account, the ones you don't even bother to glance at. $9, $14, $29. The automatic payments you dismissively call just the price of a cup of coffee and have long forgotten you even approved. Netflix, Spotify, Adobe, Amazon Prime. That extra cloud storage space you're forced to pay for every month just for that $1,000 smartphone in your pocket. The monthly battle pass for that digital game your kid plays. Premium dating apps, premium workout routines, premium recipes. Even worse, the monthly rental extortion actively pulled from your account just so the seats in that new generation German or American car parked in your driveway, the one you spent years taking out a loan to pay for up front, can heat up in the winter, or so the car can accelerate 3 seconds faster. All that money is transferred flawlessly, siphoned off in a split second across the globe into the accounts of those massive, cold, trillion-dollar tech conglomerates before you even wake up in the pitch dark, before you even open your eyes to take your first breath. You are bleeding out while you sleep. Now I want you to ask yourself a very honest question, a brutally honest question. Years ago, when your grandfather or your father bought a house with the money he earned through blood, sweat, and tears, that house truly became his. The deed was in his pocket, the key was in his hand. When he bought a car, that hunk of metal was entirely his. When he turned the ignition, no company could remotely interfere with the engine parts. When he bought a cassette tape, a vinyl record, or a DVD, he put it on his shelf and could listen to it or watch it for the rest of his life for free whenever he damn well pleased. But what about you? What do you truly own right now? In this glitzy, modern world you currently inhabit, what can you look at and say is legally, entirely yours, without answering to anyone and without the constant fear of the plug being pulled? Let me tell you a ruthless truth that should hit you like a slap in the face. You own absolutely nothing. Everything around you that you think belongs to you, everything you protect, insure, clean, and sweat over to call mine, is a very dangerous illusion. You are merely a tenant in your own life. That luxury plastic card in your wallet is not your key. It is a digital leash strapped around your neck. They marketed this to us as a blessing. They told us it was a monumental technological convenience. They lulled us to sleep with smooth Steve Jobs-style presentations and supposed humanitarian conferences thrown by colorful Silicon Valley billionaires. You no longer need to buy DVDs and let them gather dust on a shelf. Access everything instantly with a massive library. Don't drop $1,000 all at once for video editing software. Just pay $10 a month and forget about it, they said. They sold us flexibility instead of ownership. They marketed seamless access to everything instead of independence. They fed us the lie of you can cancel anytime. Under the guise of user-friendliness and the illusion of freedom of access, they injected this lethal poison into our veins, slowly increasing the dose every single day. But everything you heard was a massive lie. This isn't convenience. This is not a technological revolution. This is the most flawless, diabolical, silent theft of property in human history, executed without the need for guns or tanks. This is the absolute eradication of ownership, your right and the right of millions like you to acquire property. Today, we are living through the exact definition of the end of ownership. 15-20 years ago, the word buying had finality, weight, and boundaries. When you liked something, you went and paid for it, and that item was legally transferred to you, period. Today, however, corporations and their armies of corporate lawyers have already poured gasoline on and torched the thousand-year-old concept of property using legal contracts, end-user license agreements, EULAs, written in microscopic print and impenetrable digital locks. When you press that glowing buy button on your smartphone, you aren't buying anything at all. The money leaving your wallet simply indicates that you are renting a temporary use license from the company. That high-tech smartphone you bought by paying thousands of dollars, pushing your credit card to the limit, isn't yours. It never was. It's just a piece of glass hardware you carry in your pocket, enslaved to its manufacturer, entirely at their mercy. One morning, the company headquarters sends a silent software update to you and hundreds of millions of others. When you wake up the next day, the battery life of that phone that was working perfectly fine a few years ago suddenly drains twice as fast, and the device frustratingly constantly freezes and slows down. They force you to quietly go and buy a new model. You can't fight it. You can't open the phone to change the parts inside because they throw you completely out of your legal warranty, claiming user property violation. Shall we push the boundaries even further? That digital music archive, that game library you spent years paying to download, isn't yours. Even those ebooks you bought and downloaded to your Kindle aren't yours. Do you know that just a few years ago, due to copyright or license agreement disputes, major tech giants remotely and silently deleted books from people's devices with a single keystroke, books people had bought with their own hard-earned money? They connected to their libraries in the middle of the night and snatched the books back. The moment the company claims you violated the terms of service, often triggered by a simple AI error, they can suspend all your digital accounts in a second. Your collection of tens of thousands of dollars worth of games, books, music, and memories is plunged into darkness for eternity in mere fractions of a second, and you have absolutely zero legal recourse. Let's take it to even more savage and dystopian extremes. Where do we see this most concretely? In the automotive industry. The terrifying era where not just technology, but physical assets are being rented out has begun. One of the oldest and largest German car manufacturers in the world adopted a horrifying model in recent years. They demanded a monthly subscription fee from you just to unlock extra engine speed in the car you bought with hundreds of thousands of euros or dollars. The car sleeping right there in your garage, the car with your name on the registration. There's a feature called seat heating. Those resistors, those cables inside the seat are installed at the factory. You already paid up front for its metal, its production, and its shipping when you bought the car. But the company builds a digital firewall over your car. Just so the seat you own inside the car you own can heat up when you press a button, they expect you to send them an $18 toll from your phone to company headquarters every month. This isn't a technological innovation. This is the purest, most arrogant, in-your-face insult of the free market. This is corporate entities directly telling you, I am your eternal master. Even if you pay millions of dollars and lock this asset in your vault, the property is no longer considered yours. I can interfere with it however I want and punish you. So stop and think about it. Why did countless companies all over the world suddenly, simultaneously, en masse, switch to this hellscape, this subscription model? From companies that ship razors to chocolate brands, from software giants to dog food companies, why did everything suddenly turn into a rental? The real name of the conspiracy behind this diabolical math is the Microbleed Protocol. The language spoken in the glossy boardroom meetings of all those giant corporations is exceedingly cold, emotionless, and entirely mathematical. For the new billionaire strategists in those rooms, the system used to be this. The company would sell you an invaluable oven or a washing machine for $10,000. You got a great product, and you used it flawlessly for 20 years with no operating costs. The only money they made from you in 20 years was that upfront $10,000. Then one of them stood in front of that presentation board and uttered the magic exploitative term that Wall Street worships today: customer lifetime value. He turned to the billionaire fund managers there and said exactly this: if we don't sell this guy this product for $10,000, but instead lock the door, hide the product from him, and merely rent him the ability to use it for $100 or $50 a month, and while doing so, put him in a closed ecosystem where he remains locked inside, with every breath he takes, tracking his existence, he will pay us more until the day he dies. Not once, but 100 times, 1,000 times, 10,000 times over. That is the exact moment humanity was chained financially. The rules changed forever. The primary goal of those giant holding companies is no longer to provide you with high-quality equipment or a product that makes your life easier. The goal is to turn you into a massive cash cow to be legally milked until your dying day, squeezing out the very last drop of your blood and sweat. Those $10, $15, $9.99 harmless, innocent, and cute tiny payments. They never drain your bank account by pulling massive sums all at once to drop it in the negative, because they know perfectly well that if they withdrew $800 from your salary account in one go, you would panic instantly, rebel immediately, and the first thing you do is call the bank and cancel. You'd lose sleep over it. What they have architected, the very core of their engineering, is a bleed so light you won't feel it, like a needle in numbed skin, but a bleed that will never, ever stop for the length of a human life. You pay $30 a month to 20 different companies. Your traditional salary is deposited on the 15th of the month, and when you wake up the very next morning and open your app, you watch in silent horror as 30% of your account has already been sucked dry in the middle of the night by that invisible army of vampires. Every time the bill comes, you say, "Should I cancel this month?" But they've hidden the cancel button behind 7 different dark patterns in their apps, buried deep within a labyrinth. Your brain gets so exhausted from those endless "are you sure you want to cancel?" and "look at all these benefits you're missing" pages that you say, "Whatever, I'll cancel it next month. What's another $10 anyway?" Because of those $10 for the entire month, just to replace what was taken and survive, you are forced to work insane overtime hours at the standards of a dog. The architects of this system constantly keep you right on that thin line of zero. You can never truly build incredible wealth and declare your independence, nor do you hit rock bottom enough to be thrown onto the street and develop the destructive courage of having absolutely nothing left to lose. It's a classic digital mousetrap set at the perfect temperature. They feed you just enough bait to keep you running on the treadmill. This is complete mental exhaustion, watching your money melt away and your mind numbing to the chaos of it. But the real terrifying macro conspiracy lies trillions of times beyond just renting tech hardware, some stupid movie streaming software, or a cloud system. Step back a little, enlarge the picture. When you look at the macro stage, at the true owners who determine the fate of the world, at those giant funds and the elite at the dark peaks of Wall Street towers, you see a much, much more colossal, insidious, and spine-chilling nightmare. Financial researchers are now calling this global operation digital feudalism. Understand the issue. Today in Europe, in Canada, in Australia, and in the United States, massive asset management and real estate funds, those famous mega corporations like BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street that command all the money in the world with assets exceeding trillions of dollars, are buying up even the rundown single-family homes on your street one by one with cash from millions of people and billions of dollars in zero-interest government funds. They are devouring every cattle ranch, every apartment building on the market like a ravenous monster. Do you know why? Because in that new and cold world order they've established, they absolutely, under no circumstances, want you or your children as middle-class, average, everyday citizens to have a say, to own the deed to a physical piece of land, to possess the secure ownership of a home. Billionaires are exclusively designing a plan among themselves to grant you exactly the privilege of living in concrete blocks. The entire scenario is this. Remember that terrifying realities of the World Economic Forum's goal for the year 2030? A slogan they proudly wrote and marketed to sound allegedly peaceful, optimistic, and minimalist? You will own nothing, and you will be happy. For years, mainstream media channels came out and claimed this was just a ridiculous, fantastic conspiracy theory invented by weird, marginal types on the internet. They handed out mocking laughter to everyone. Yet where we stand today, that slogan is operating flawlessly right in the middle of your neighborhood like a blazing, colossal business model staring you right in the eye. Just like in medieval Europe, the king or the feudal lords possessed massive and limitless lands. The agricultural slaves, called serfs, worked that land just to feed themselves, gave the entire yield to the lord, and gifted him their lives simply because they were allowed to sleep in a corner of it. Serfs were forbidden from acquiring property. Today's picture is exactly, without an iota of deviation, the same. They, that elitist trillion-dollar echelon, will own the earth, the corporations, the roads, the agricultural lands, the cities, the energy systems, the cars, the massive insidious data centers that train the brains of algorithms and artificial intelligence with 100% stake. As for you, you will be a landless, soulless, assetless digital serf paying rent to them every damn day just to use those systems, just to exist and access this network, an obedient slave of the modern digital world. Can you imagine otherwise? Do you really think you have the right to choose, the potential to object? Cities are filling up with thousands of high-rise rental blocks sold to corporate funds. The deliberately inflated interest rates pumped up by the banks bar you from ever taking out a mortgage for the rest of your life just to survive. Property is passed on to the next generation exclusively by the true owners of the system and corporate elite giants passing it among themselves. You, on the other hand, are only sold a shallow life-as-a-service rental model. You know the phrase software as a service. It is now life as a service. Pay to live. Enter your password and make your payment to live. The dark and profound psychological layer this creates is, believe me, as lethal and blood-curdling as the depletion of your bank account. This endless, paywalled life we call locked reality systematically guarantees that you remain internally in the deepest back layers of your brain in a constant state of panic, insomnia, and anxiety. Look around you. Why are people becoming increasingly irritable? Why are millions constantly crushed under unprovoked stress? Why do they wake up tired from their sleep? Why, at any age, do they never feel completely at peace and fully secure? Why can no one lean back and take a deep sigh of relief? Because subconsciously, deep down in a place you can't confess to anyone, you know very well, coldly and concretely, that if you fall severely ill for a month, if the company suddenly fires you with a simple email, or if your salary doesn't deposit, meaning the moment those automatic payment orders in your bank, those buttons pulling you out of the critical gears stop, everything in your life, absolutely everything, will be wiped out in fractions of a second and plunged into darkness with no excuses or mercy. They will show no mercy because there is no humanity in the system's algorithm. That luxury rental car you ride in won't even leave the garage, let alone start. You will be thrown out by security guards from that house full of memories you spent your winters in for 10 years. Even the music playlist belonging to your memories will be permanently deleted from your account, and all those communication networks you established with your spouse and friends will evaporate with a single whistle when the company takes the initiative to block you. You unfortunately have zero sense of belonging to step on the earth and say, "This is mine." No material fortress you can proudly defend, no solid wall legally yours that can withstand storms and that no one can forcefully demand back from you, no independent space of your own, and you know this deep down. You are just swinging wildly, hanging precariously at the weak end of a massive tangle of cables and Silicon Valley contracts, fully equipped and ready to be unplugged the second someone feels like it or when your credit card debt limit is reached. You only have a sense of comfort if you stay within the lines of the rules dictated by a master. When your own life is rented, you are so helpless that even if you believed in it, you couldn't defend a different ideology, express your opinion, or step out of line, because you know that in that second, they will pull your access from your hands and you will turn into a non-existent shadow and blend into nothingness. You have no true autonomy. Right here, you have every right to rebel with all your being, shouting, "All of this is true, brother. It's all a bitter reality. I am caught in this cunning digital mousetrap. I am being exploited to the marrow. So how the hell are we going to get out of here? What are we going to do?" Yell, rebel. Then shut up and listen to me closely now. I will never, ever share with you the nonsense of those so-called financial angels on the screen, those influencers throwing around cheap budgeting or saving advice with their bright smiles. I am not one of those incredibly narrow-minded, ignorant, enslaved, and shallow financial clowns who tell you like pawns of the system, just stop drinking expensive coffee outside, go into the settings and cancel 2 TV subscriptions you don't use so you can keep $10 more in the bank and save money. Open your mind. This is not about earning $10 or $20 to accumulate at the end of a month, or a matter of battling inflation. This is an existential war for survival. This is directly your war for autonomy. This is not just about lightening today's bill. This is your war to build the defense line, the fixed stone walls of freedom for your generation and the bloodline that will come after you. Immediately, right now, it is mandatory that you completely shatter those pathetic consumer shopping colony shackles that have permeated every cell and are hammered into your subconscious. Reject whoever lured you into that flexible rental trap just because it's the trend, just because it's pop culture. Stop gaping like idiots looking at society around you. Stop bragging about rented shiny toys. Instead, you must directly resurrect the old-fashioned but absolute, unshakable ancient concept of ownership and forge it into a popular, indispensable weapon. Forever stop burning your money in the fires of monthly digital subscriptions that vanish into thin air, leaving zero value behind, or temporary, cheap, and spoiled so-called luxuries you use while on someone else's property. Because you have absolutely no other choice left but to violently break away from this tenant flow plan, keeping the system alive, and launch an absolutely ruthless offensive, a charge toward true hard assets that possess total defensive power, locking on to ownership. While this twisted system relentlessly whispers to you like a drug to flexibly rent your everything, to pay only the minimum balance of your debt and be a captive of the system for a lifetime, you must swear an oath to defy all plans and stubbornly, tooth and nail, buy only what you will own and lock yourself onto them. While your paper money loses value and melts away to death every second through the cold printing presses of central banks, are you accumulating physical gold and silver, which do not shrink in inflation and have been the undisputed center of ownership for millennia? Don't buy in tons, buy in handfuls, but buy it immediately and put it in your off-system vault. Do you seize the existence of Bitcoin, which grants you the unbreakable revolution, the pure, absolute numerical ownership that you don't want to include in the limits forcefully imposed on you by trillion-dollar government agencies and regulatory companies, rules that no central authority can distort, that cannot be frozen, and that legally can never be stripped, pulled, or extorted from your vault without your permission? Then don't stop. Seize it and hold your digital sovereignty tightly in your hands. Are you building a piece of land to sell your skills, a digital or organic profitable corporate mechanism that generates cash flow or concrete returns and where you are the sole key holder? Build it immediately, as long as the true owners aren't those lords at the top. Don't subscribe to that so-called luxury hardware with hidden subscriptions on that shiny, spaceship-like car they shove down your throat just so your seat gets warm, thinking it's only a trivial monthly fee. Cancel it. At the very least, slam the door, step outside, and work to reach the capital to buy the car itself. Let it be secondhand. It's iron old. It's paint peeling. Don't even care. When you hit the gas and start it, ensure you have bought a true, free machine that is solely at your command, that does not serve any other central company's software. And if that doesn't work, sprint out of the fake walls of the corporate lie system that shoved you into this disgusting rental rat maze for years, consuming all the motivational codes in your brain. Build the independence on your own shoulders to even reject the salary of a job that adds zero assets to your life. Rip off the hooks that pay extortion to the rich of the system. Remember, what you need today is not to feel you possess more luxurious rental services or technological cloud storage comfort, not flexible lies to show off on social media. The only antidote you need to survive today is the limitless and true power of solid ownership that belongs to you. When you truly, unconditionally own something with all its legal rights, all its access, its password or its key, when you hold it tightly, sweating in your palms, you completely strip away your soul from that famous paranoia and disgusting threat of flipping the electrical switch with one button or terminating your access imposed on you by the lying channels of the system, and you shout your freedom back. The only impenetrable real fortress you can build against their massive, trillion-dollar digital fiefdom and corporate barons is your personal kingdom of property and assets that you build slowly but with that fury. Even if it's 10 square meters, as long as the rock beneath it belongs entirely to you. Those massive, seemingly invincible holdings that feed on your rent, that erect their own skyscrapers over the pain you endure every morning, that ruthlessly inflate their trillion-dollar shares on Wall Street in New York with that $9 monthly exploitation tribute you pay. Think of them for a single second in the frame of your mind. If you are not one of their little flexible, invisible subscriber mice, when you invest your money in properties, you know those giant companies? Those barons become absolute zeros, eternal darkness, weak, fragile, and pathetic hollow structures, and absolute nothing. Therefore, wake up immediately, slapping yourself out of that smooth, flexible, and fake digital rental comfort dream, that nightmare injected into your brain endlessly, from the radio, from commercials, from corporate lies on TV. Seriously and devastatingly disappoint those who command you with their terrifying voice saying you will own nothing and you will be happy, with a massive and earth-shattering war. Smash their gears. Build your own rough, real, solid, and unbreakable army of assets, one by one, slowly. Unplug yourself right now, in the very second you are watching this, from that cursed cycle of existence cage that you entered by your own consent but while asleep, and that you rent by exploiting your own labor every second. Regain the reins of ownership with your free will in bloody hands and give it to no one. Era of mercy is largely over. It is time to hunt your own reality. I ask my question again. Are you the victim or the property owner, the digital and organic true lord of his own castle? The decision belongs forever solely to your awakening that commands your own existence. Make your choice. Write your destiny. The system is outside, waiting for you. Wake up.